Okay, I am back. Stream has restarted, and I'll just wait for the first comment to see how people are responding to the audio. And while I'm waiting, I'll restart Discord. Verifying Discord. Okay. Time for an update, I see. I'm back. Hello, Albert. You know what? I haven't rebooted my Mac in quite a while, and I forgot how fast it is. Okay. Raitotiar? Hello. Tell me if I'm mispronouncing that. I hate mispronouncing people's usernames. But that's an interesting one. Also, I like that image you have for the what do you call it? An avatar. I like it. Okay, just waiting for a few more, and we'll get back to. Let's get back to. Let me check my Discord. Make sure my Microsoft hits. I'm back online. So I'm just letting people know. Stream started. Let me share a link to my Discord colleagues. Just get shareable link. Okay, and audio, I hope, sounds okay. I don't know what's causing that. I do not know what's causing that. I'll have to do some investigation. I think the tablet police found me again. They don't want me to tell the truth about tablets. That's why they mess with my audio like that. Okay, just waiting for other people to come back on. Meow, like a human being, sounding normal. Yeah, that is a good feeling to be sounding normal. I wonder, the last time that chipmunk sound started was after about an hour or something, hour and 30. I wonder if there's some sort of time thing going on with Ecamm or something. But we should have enough time to do things. Okay. Let me go back to overhead. Okay. And you're seeing my dusty keyboard. And what was the last thing I was saying? Someone asked me if to compare the texture of this Kamvas 16 Gen 3 to the Kamvas Pro 24 4K. And what I said was, this seems about the same, maybe slightly more textured, but it certainly did not seem as textured as the Kamvas Pro 19. Hello, Mark Anthony. Good to see you. Thanks for joining the stream again. I need to have a special chipmunk alert when the audio goes like that, right? So, okay, where was I when the testing? So I had drawn some lines and I said, hey, you're probably thinking, hey, this looks like a terrible line. It looks all wobbly. So, hey, Bertie, I hope you heard my comment. Like, I think the texture on this is about the same as the Kamvas Pro 24. If it is any different, it's probably incredibly slightly more textured. Definitely not as textured as the Kamvas Pro 19. Okay, so I drew these lines and I said, hey, you're probably wondering, they don't look great. They feel great, very light, but you can see they look a little bit blobby. That's not the fault of the tablet. The blobbiness here is two factors. Number one, my hand, and number two, so the way you want to test these things, the smoothness of a line is, if you want to say, like, is the line smooth, there's a couple of techniques you can do. Number one is you want to eliminate the weirdness of my hand motion, but you want to leave pressure on alone. So there's a way to do that in Krita. And the way you do that in Krita is you go to brush smoothing, and you brush smoothing. Of course, I have to do it. I keep using the wrong mouse, brush smoothing, and you go to, where is that darn thing? You switch from basic to weighted. And then what you do is on weighted, you make sure that smooth pressure is turned off, but you turn up the distance like a lot. Okay, I'll just almost maximize. It'll be, so you're going to see a lot of lag. That's deliberate because we're not caring about the position tracking. We're caring about how pressure works. Okay, so forget the lag. That's lag is I've introduced it, and I can tell you the pressure feels good. The pressure is actually very stable. And you see why it's important to separate pressure from positioning, because you don't want to look at how the smooth my position is. You want to see how smoothly pressure works, and pressure works really smooth. Now, the real test for smooth pressure is what happens when the brush is crazy big. So the brush right now is, if you can't see it, it's about 150. Sorry, oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. What we want to do is we want to change this to, sorry, I keep using my streaming computer's mouse instead of using my hand here. Now, it is a little bit odd to draw with a 500 pixel like ink brush, okay? I admit that. But what we're trying to do is create a microscope, right? Nick, you have a question, a comment? Back online. So this is not pro version, but has the latest and best pen tech. Yes, 3 buttons, no eraser. Same as Wacom Pro Pen 3. It's not quite as good as Wacom Pro Pen 2 or Wacom. Sorry, I think your question is it like the Pro Pen 3 in that there's no eraser? Correct. Yes, that's how it works with 3 buttons. Okay, so what was I getting at here? We were doing this. Oh, yeah. We're trying to see how smooth the pressure is. Now, if you're drawing with a 10 pixel brush and you have 50 million pressure levels, that doesn't help you because all the pressure levels get condensed, quantized into 1 to 10. Okay? So how do you see the pressure level, what's happening with pressure, especially at low level pressure? You have to use a microscope, or in this case, a virtual microscope. And that microscope is, you make the brush really big, okay? And you see what happens to it. Mark Anthony has a comment. If you have time later, could you check what display was detected by macOS and what display profile is assigned? Yeah, after I get this test, please remind me, and if I don't do it, and I'll do that for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, one more thing before I do this. All of us are holding the pen something like this. The pen is, at 45, maybe it's sort of maybe 40 degrees from vertical, maybe it's 45. I don't think many people are holding the pen perfectly vertical, okay? But you should know that the pressure sensitivity of pens is greatest when the pen is perfectly vertical. And this is for some physical reasons inside the pen. Now, when you're holding it very vertical, it's super sensitive. And where's I clicked on the erase thing. Okay. Let's see what happens now. You should see that the magnification and any weirdness in pressure, we'll talk about. Okay. What do you see? Okay. So we'll talk about what you're seeing. Okay. So remember, the bumpiness here, part of it's due to my hand, but part of it's due to the pen and the tablet. Let's take a quick look at what's going on here. I wish these tablets had touch. Does everyone agree this looks a little bit bumpy? Right? Does everyone agree? Oh, I have to reset the pen. Sorry. This thing, let me just double check. Just don't want to make sure everything is cool with this pen. Okay, yeah. It's a little bit rough looking, right? Now remember, I'm drawing with extremely light pressure. And let me erase this and let me draw with heavier pressure, okay? Because remember, this is a 500 pixel brush. So to get those thick lines, I was drawing really light. Let's do it with a lot of pressure. You'll see how big the brush really is. You really don't see some of that jaggedness, do you? Right? When you're doing this much, right? But there's a little bit. Okay. Now, let's draw again with light. I just want to talk about it. Especially when you're drawing with the pen. Look at this. I can make this happen. I know some of you right now are like, what is going on here? Okay. So I'll tell you something. This problem can happen with pens. And we'll test it. Remember, I have the one from the Huion Kamvas Pro 19. Let's see if it has the same issue. Okay. What is going on here? And by the way, I was holding it very vertical. Okay. Before anyone draws any weird conclusions, let me just say this. This happens with almost every pen you'll ever find, even from Wacom, even with the Pro Pen 2. It is a consequence of how sensitive the initial activation force is. And when you're moving over even a textured surface, you can pick up slight changes will trigger these kind of very big pulses in pressure. Okay? So, and I'm talking, I've called this pressure transition instability. I've called this pressure wobble. It's a natural thing to happen. It tends not to happen with pen displays as much because they tend to have very smooth glass. If you do it with a Wacom Pro, Intuos Pro, you'll see a lot of it. All tablets do it. Some do it a little bit more, a little bit less. This looks like a little bit more for a pen tablet, but here's how you fix that problem, okay? You turn on pressure smoothing and use a pressure curve. So let me just show you. I'm going to delete this. And I could do the pressure curve in the application, or I could do it in the driver. For right now, I'm going to do it in the application, okay? And Mark Anthony, you're right. It's in the specific brush setting. So let's just take a look at the brush. Again, I keep on. Okay. I forgot how to do this. I'm trying to add. Oh, I just do it like this. Like this. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. I disabled that. I want size. And I'll set it like this. Okay. And I'm going to add another curve here. Now, I like to do this. Now, it seems extreme to you, but based on my measurements with lots of pens, this is a little bit not looking quite right, but you'll get the idea in a second. I don't want the bottom part to drop to real zero, okay? This is a little extreme and not perfect, but it's probably more than a lot of you were expecting, okay? And what this is supposed to be is it's telling the pen, the system, be less sensitive at lower pressure. So if there's weird wobbles, then kind of, I'll have to press a little bit harder. So this is one way to smooth this out. And let's close this now. And where's the close button on this thing? So I can't even see the window exactly. Okay. Now let's try the same thing, okay? And I'll use the pen that came with it. What do you notice? You see how nice that looks? Right? And then I increase the pressure, right? So this is one of the first techniques. If you notice that phenomenon with any pen, and remember, I'm drawing perfectly vertical. When you're doing vertical, that problem can really happen, okay? If I'm drawing with a more normal thing, it will tend not to happen, and things just look smooth, okay? Again, I'm doing position smoothing. That's why there's a lag. I'm not doing pressure smoothing, okay? Let me delete this, right? Now, the other thing that will help is turning on pressure smoothing, okay? So let me go here, and it says smooth pressure. I'm actually having, okay, I checked it, okay. Now, let's just delete this and just see what happens. Look. Again, ignore the pointer lag. Look how clean and, right? So don't worry if you see a pen that has little bumps like that, right? You can easily correct it. Now, Krita does, lots of apps are like this. When you're doing this kind of smoothing, you're doing brush smoothing, meaning position smoothing, and you're doing pressure smoothing. You're doing position smoothing, you can add pressure smoothing to it. You can't do just pressure smoothing, But some applications, like Rebel 7 at least, those are independent things. You can do pressure smoothing completely separate from uh, position smoothing. In fact, let me just see if I have Rebel here. I do not know if I do, but I might. I do. I just want to show you this because I know it's a long-winded stream, but you should explore some of these topics. Okay, Rebel. Not now. I don't want a new version. It's telling me all these things. Yeah. Okay, let's create a new thing. So I might actually switch to using Rebel for some tests because it's convenient. I could use my own app. I made a test app myself, but it's I prefer showing you apps that are real instead of my own test apps. Okay, so in Rebel, let's take when you're looking at these brushes. Now I'm going to pick. I don't want watercolor, even though it's beautiful. I just want a more standard kind of pen, right? Let's just make sure I can draw with it. Okay, well, it's not and I'm going to just maximize the size for whatever reason. Rebel's maximum pen size or brush size is 100, and there's the brush. Looks nice, and I'll do my same test there. And it's configured in a little weird way, but we'll fix it. My point though is Rebel has position smoothing, which is set to minimum, but it actually has pressure sensitivity and it has pressure smoothing. So this is pressure curve. And let me, I think I can expand this out. So take a look here, right? You can actually change the pressure sensitivity to be the curve. And then you can use pressure smoothing completely different. So if I maximize pressure smoothing, I'll leave the pressure curve linear and I'll turn on the maximum pressure smoothing, position smoothing, right? I think I can erase this. I forgot how to erase this. Let's see. I'll just have to do it without erasing. I forget how to do this. And you don't get any of that weird effect. Let me change now to a different brush. I want something that really shows this effect more. Maybe, I can't dip pen. Maybe that will do it. Dip pen. That brush is, here we go. And I'll change this to 100. So there's no lag. Now this pen is looking jagged because that's the way the pen is supposed to look. Let me find a smooth one if I can find it. Will this work? Yeah, this is better. I'll draw in red since I don't know how to erase in Rebel yet. Okay, so there's no lag whatsoever, but I've maximized pressure smoothing. So even if I draw that, I try to make those little bubbles come up, you can't do it. Right? So I really wish more apps would have pressure smoothing separate from position smoothing. Okay? And this is one of the things I do when I'm testing. I try to separate position effects from pressure effects, right? And let's see, Mark Anthony has a comment. Rebel is great. It uses the same UI framework as Krita, which also shares the same weird bugs. Interesting. I didn't know that. So it's using what? Qt. I believe that's the framework, the UI framework. Qt. How do you use eraser? It's 3-button pen, but you're forced to bind eraser on one of the buttons. Well, I'll talk about that. That's a good question. Let me switch back to Krita since everyone knows about it. Where's Krita? There we go. I'm back here. Okay. So the question was, how do you erase? Okay. And for that, we have to get into the driver and just talk about what's going on here. So let me show what happens normally for erasing. You asked about the third button. If I'm drawing here and I hit the third button, this menu comes up. Okay. And I've already set up this driver so that none of these menus do anything. That's why it says none, right? So if you want an eraser, you can set the third button. Let's open up the driver, or I have the driver up. Let me move it over. Okay. I really should get a mouse for that. It's easier to okay. So let's go to digital pen. And so you can set the bottom button is mapped to keyboard. So actually, the way I had it set up is that this thing is set to E, and that's really an abnormal setting. Actually, before I do that, let's make sure I know which pen is which. It's this one. What's this one? PW600. Yeah, that's the pen I'm using, and this is the PW600L. Let's switch to the L since that's the one without the eraser. So this is set to E by default, which is, it'll turn on the erase mode in Krita or in any app where E is bound to erase. Let's zoom. It's a little bit odd. Give me 1 second. I'm going to unplug my mouse actually for a second. And then this is so irritating to switch between two different things here. The pleasures of live streaming. We discover only at the last moment what's working and what's not working. Let's see. I plug in the mouse on one cord, doesn't fit. Plug in the other side, doesn't fit. On the third try, of course, it'll usually work right. Okay, maybe I'm not doing the right thing. Oh, pro tip. Okay, this is not going to work. Forget about that. I was trying to plug in the USB cable into the HDMI port. I didn't see it correctly. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, I'll just use, I forgot the hand. So if you see the eraser thing, I'm going to hit the button, upper button or lower button. That triggers that, right? I can map that to the other upper button if I like. Now, I don't use buttons for erasers. I actually tend to use my toolbox instead, right? And I have the toolbox set to, as I hold down the thing, then it's the eraser. The minute I pick up, it's off. So let's see if that works here. I'm going to hold down. It doesn't work as expected. It's a toggle. It doesn't hold down the thing like you'd expect. Okay. So yeah, but to answer your question, yeah, I think you would bind it to a key, but I'm not sure it'll work in all apps, right? Let's see, Nick. But Photoshop doesn't. It has tilde shortcut, but you must hold it all the time. See, I like it when you hold it because I don't want to switch the eraser. I just want to quickly erase and go back. And switching back to the old tool is easier if the thing just holds it for a second. But that's, of course, my personal preference. Okay. So what have we shown here about this overall pen, which is it probably has a little more, at least on this tablet, for some unknown reason, because I didn't see this with other Huion in the Pentec 4.0. It's a little sensitive at lower pressure, but the way to avoid that is to use a pressure curve or a little bit of pressure smoothing, okay? So this is normal. Again, even Cintiq, even, Intuos Pros do this, so nothing abnormal. I think it's something that's easily handled. You just have to know to do it, okay? And again, you'll tend to see it if you're trying to get it. If you're drawing with more a normal sort of way, you'll tend not to observe it. And I'll just try that again. Let me turn off, and let's just do no smoothing. See, there's no smoothing, and you just don't see it, right? Because the pressure curve takes care of it, right? If I do basic smoothing, which should maybe doing a little bit of pressure smoothing, right? It's fine. And it still feels very responsive. So, as always with these kind of things, you have to know your tools, okay? Albert OG, it says, what's Toolbox? And I actually ordered the new Toolbox not too long ago. Should we get it by the end of this month? Fantastic. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show you the toolbox. I'm going to fetch it from my room, and I'll come right back. Okay, I am back. The question was, what's a toolbox? And let's show you what it is. This is a toolbox, okay? And just to give you a size perspective, this is how big it is compared to my pen, okay? And let me see if I can find another example. This is how big it is next to my wallet, okay? So it's not a super big device, but it fills up my hand. My hands are, I think, slightly bigger than normal, not too big. Okay, so it's basically, to say it all, this is a game controller. I mean, I don't use the word game controller. Obviously, it looks like one, but it's a creative controller. It is designed for your left hand and not the right. It feels weird on the right hand. And Albert, I would just say it took me a year to learn how to use this. I gave up like 3 times because your natural instinct is to switch your hand to the keyboard, right? Or maybe these buttons. But what this lets me do is I can draw, and that's not connected. I can draw, and without looking, right, I can switch the eraser just by clicking a button. I'm going to put the thing here. I would like, so for me, eraser is like I hold this button down, I get an eraser. Or I lift it up, the eraser's gone. I switch from G pen to some other kind of, so yeah, this is marker, G pen, eraser, airbrush. This I usually don't use, but I was mapping this to rotating the canvas. This increases the brush size. I've customized my layout for clip sheet of paint. This will zoom in or out. This is a modifier. So for example, this button, for me, I configure it to select the marker. But if I hold this down and click this, it does the rectangular selection tool, right? And this does the vector drawing tool. If I hold, there's a button on the left here, right? Now this supports wireless, but because I hate replacing batteries, I just use a USB-C cable. This is probably the most important drawing tool I have outside of the tablet. So it is expensive, and there are many versions of it. I think this is the Toolbox Elite or Ultra or something. They just released a version that works with Mac OS or iPads, but I can't recommend this thing enough. I love it, and I couldn't draw without it. I feel, you know how you leave your home and you forget your cell phone and you feel nervous and weird without cell phone in your pocket? That's how I feel if I start drawing. I don't have this connected. It just feels unnatural, so I just have to draw with this thing in my hand. Okay, that was my toolbox. What do they call that? Testimony. Let's just take a look. I hope that made sense. Tablet just arrived today, literally just now. Okay, Abigail, remind us, please, which one you got. And then Sin, or should we get it by the end of the month? Fantastic. Toolbox is separate shortcuts control. Very cool. Yep, that's a perfect summary. I love it because you can program buttons with double-click specific commands. Yep. And I customize it per application. So I have one for Clip Studio Paint and one for Krita. Sin has, the new iPad one, yeah. I just wish they'd added that support to the old versions because it's not a cheap device, right? Toolbox and 3D Connection have much smarter drivers, lots of custom. Oh, interesting. Wow, Instagram, Twitter ads is real. What? Did it show you an ad about the Toolbox just as we were talking? Do you give up on naming your layers when you use the Toolbox, or do you still keep a keyboard handy? Wow. This is like a real, a good question. I'm lazy with layer naming, honestly. So what I actually do is I just create layers and I don't name them. I know. So I end up with a lot of layers which are like layer one copy, layer two copy. And I'm merging and deleting, and they're nonsensical. It's only when I'm really done with the drawing in Clip Studio Paint, which I merge layers and then I name the layers. So I'm not the most organized about this, but yeah, I just basically type at the end. Josh is grafted. You helped me on Reddit a few days ago. Thanks. Not sure how much I want to watch. Just ordered 13, haha, but that size fits me better, I think. I'm just drawing a small sketchbooks. 13 is a great size. 13 is a fantastic size. So I think you will enjoy it. And thanks for just dropping in. Okay, so I was talking about the pressure. Pressure works fine. I'm super happy with it. And I tried to talk a little bit extra so you understood what to do when the pen's acting a bit odd. So let's talk now about just accuracy. Okay, I'm going to zoom in for this. Okay, or not zoom in. Can I zoom in more? That's about as much as I can zoom in. So maybe. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to put the tablet on top of something, and hopefully I'll be able to zoom in. And I just want to show you more closely what's going on with the pen. Is that zoomed in enough? Maybe a bit more? Maybe I can put another box here. Okay, maybe this. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna get close. I want you to see the accuracy of this thing. Okay. Be back. Okay. I can't lower my camera, and I'm zoomed in as much as I can, and that's why I spent some time just kind of finding. Let me do my zoom here. Okay, so let's take a look, and I will say that accuracy is very good. Probably the easiest way of doing this is to go to the desktop. Is it doing? Oh, sorry, I'm doing the wrong desktop. Hang on. Or maybe I can just do it here. Sorry, I changed things around, and now even I'm confused what I just did. I'm streaming on one computer and using another one, so sometimes I'm typing in the wrong place and moving the wrong mouse. So I'll tell you is parallax. The pointer is always consistently underneath the pen when the pen is vertical. I'm looking all over the screen, and I'm seeing it very nicely in the right place. I know you might be having trouble seeing it, but it is correct in every location, even on the far left. The pointer is right under the pen tip, very close. All pen tablets have very slight displacement at the edges and corners, and this has it too, but it's only a millimeter or two, and no one draws there, right? Normal for all tablets, even including Cintiq Pros. Pen is in the right place everywhere, so very happy, right? Let's see, an option for naming letters with a keyboard. Oh, that's interesting. I should try that. Okay, next question is, so that was overall accuracy. Then we're going to take a look at, I locked the layer. How did I lock the layer? Oh, I see. I pressed down there. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is take a look at tilt compensation. So could be hard to see, but we'll try to zoom in as much as you can. And so I'm tilted at almost 50 degrees, and I will tell you right now, you can see if I press down, where's the center of that circle? It's directly, let me switch to white color, since that will, let's see, what, I won't accidentally draw anything. Okay. Can you see the circle? The circle, even when I'm up and down, it's perfectly aligned. When I'm tilted at 45 degrees, tip is right at the center. Even, I'll do the other angles because some people are like left-handed. Tip is right at the center. How about north? Oops. I hate that damn menu. How about north? Tip is right at the center. And then south, tip is right at the center. So what have we seen here? And this has been true for Huions in general. Tilt compensation is very good. No matter which angle I'm at, the computer detects it correctly. So Huion does a good job there. They match what I see in the Cintiq Pros. The only brand that seems to struggle a little bit with this is XP Pen right now, right? In my last XP Pen, it was good when I was tilted right, not, off by a few millimeters on the left. So that's something XP Pen should work on. I believe that tilt compensation is probably a firmware thing, and it can be correctly done. They just need to work on that, okay? Parallax, I'm going to take a look at the parallax. I'll try to show you the parallax if possible. It's a little bit more complicated. Here, let me... So parallax, again, is not how far the pointer is from the tip of the pen. It's the apparent inaccuracy due to different viewing angles because the glass is thick, or has some non-zero thickness, and it separates the glass separates the pen from the drawing, the display panel. Now iPads have very good parallax, right? Wacom Moving 13, fantastic parallax. What about this? I don't know if you can see it. Let me change the color so that you can see me draw something. I'll tell you right now, though. I'm trying to give you a really crazy angle on this. You might not be able to see it, but it's right underneath there, right? Even at a really crazy angle, forget the lag, even at a crazy angle, the tip of where I'm drawing is right underneath the tip of the pen. So parallax is very good, okay? Another thing that is pretty good, let me get this box down here. We don't need to see this anymore. And let me correct the focus. Another thing that you're seeing here is, it's too bright, but like, let's try this. I don't see much color shift, right? There's a slight dimming as I go from left to right. But other than that, great viewing angle. So that's good, okay? So pressure's good, tilt compensation good, parallax is good, accuracy in the corners is good. Everything's really good about it, okay? Let me try, what else do we want to do? I think Nick has got a good point here. If you switch to your left hand and shift your body, probably you need to recalibrate. You know, I need to try that again. I'm a not right-handed person, and I think I did the calibration with my right hand, and my left hand was still not happy. When I was tilting it to the left, it wasn't as well registered. So maybe if I register with my left hand, that will make a functional difference. Okay. Okay. And give me 1 second. I'm going to just look through find other things I want to test with. So let's see. I'm looking at my notes for Kamvas Pro 19. I want to make sure I talk about every topic. Oh, anti-glare treatment. I showed you the glare reduction. You can't see this. I'll try to focus. Maybe it'll work. I'm kind of looking with my own eyes. It's very low anti-glare sparkle. Very low. Not as good as an iPad, I would say, but pretty good. Pretty good. On par with what I'd say a Cintiq Pro is. Maybe slightly more, but at a normal drawing distance, look how. Sorry, you have to see with my own eyes. I have to put this thing. Let me switch the camera. I want to make sure you see this. I want you. Here's how close the tablet has to be for me to notice the anti-glare sparkle. I have to be this close to it. Okay. I don't think any of you are drawing that close. So if you're here, even you won't notice it. And this is what not even a foot away from my face. At a normal drawing distance, so this is now on my desk, you wouldn't be able to see anything, right? Now, I saw in Brad's review and in Tio on Tech's review, they said there was a bit of softness to the display. So let's take a look at that. I think they may be onto something. However, Tio did the review on a Mac OS, and text will generally look sharper. Let me. Sorry, it looked a little bit more blurry because of the way it does anti-aliasing. Let me draw a line. Sorry, I know that you can't see what I'm doing sometimes here. I drew a line. I'm looking. Okay, I'll say this. I'm not sure if it's that. The Kamvas Pro 19 had a little bit of a softness in the pixels. I don't think this has it. I can test this though. I can test this. Let's see some comments. Where's my, sorry. You here we go. Because Microsoft Windows does a certain kind of job with its way it displays things, I'm going to connect this tablet to a Surface Pro 8, and I'm going to show you. Let me switch my camera so you're not just staring at my face looking at random things. So I've got my Surface Pro. I'm just booting it up, and I'm going to connect the tablet, and I'm going to look and try to show you how crisp it is. I don't think that this camera will actually capture it, so I'll just do it live and just tell you. With the Windows, it's very easy to see something that's crisp because I know how Windows does things. Okay, so I'm just going to unplug it from the Mac. Oh, okay. And then I plug it into Windows. Okay, and it's duplicating the screen, which is not what I want. I want it to, let me zoom out so you guys are not totally confused about what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to change display settings, and as I recommend for all people, with a pen display, you should generally extend the displays. And I'll keep the changes. And what I normally do then, at the native resolution, I'm going to just keep this over here. And I'm just going to stare really close at this bottom part. I'm going to tell you how sharp it is, okay? So I have to move my microphone away for just a second. This is, I'll show you what I see, but I think you'd find it almost impossible to see. You can't see it. It's just too small. Let me try one more thing. I'm going to change this display to use a different resolution just so the text is bigger. Now I can see. Okay. The Kamvas Pro 19's pixels were a little soft. Didn't bother me. Some people were saying it bothered them a little bit. I think probably the same thing is true. Sorry. The Kamvas Pro 19's pixels are a little bit soft. I think probably the same thing is true of this device. They're just slightly soft. They're not blurry. That's the wrong word to use. They're just a little more soft, right? I don't think you'll notice, and this is just a consequence of the anti-glare treatment, I believe. You'd have to try to look at it. That being said, if you're really sensitive, you want super crisp pixels, this is something you should be aware of. Again, I would not describe this as blurry. I find it overall sharp. It's just soft, if that makes any sense. Sorry, I know you're just seeing a black screen. And I tried when I drew, I saw like a single pixel line on Krita. It looked pretty sharp actually. So again, text in Windows, at least I know what it looks like. So I would not describe this again. This tablet as blurry at all. Like just maybe slightly soft. Okay. Now, what else do I want to talk about here? Anti-glare sparkle. Actually, let me show you something. Let me show you from the left screen here. This was the Kamvas Pro 19. And if you look at this picture, you see Cintiq Pro 22, how this looks. And this is the Huion Kamvas Pro 19, how this looks. Like you can still make out the pixels. I would say this device almost seems in between the two, right? So it's not maybe quite as sharp as this, but I think it's slightly sharper than on the right. Again, I don't even notice it, right? I have to put my eyes really close to even notice it. But you can probably see here a little more staircasing, which is true of sharper displays, right? Okay, so let me close this. Let's go back to Cam 1. Okay. Touch, there's no touch on this tablet. Okay, weight, I said it's lighter than I expected. VESA mounting, there's no VESA mounting holes on it. You can see on the back. So if you want to put this on a stand, you're going to have to, that's secure, you're going to have to find one that grips it, or just use the, stand where it just physically rests on them, right? I talked about surface texture. Oh, wobble. We need to do some wobble testing. There we go. Okay. I'm going to plug it back into my Mac since now I'm done with my sharpness testing. And I dropped the pen on the floor, which I always tell people not to do, but I've done that for the 6th time tonight. Okay. Back into the Mac. Let me find that pen. Wherever the heck I dropped it. Oh, here it is. Okay, wobble testing. Now, my stance on wobble testing is pretty simple. You never want to test wobble with your hand, because your hand, as I showed you, will introduce wobble in and of itself, okay? What you want to do is you want to test wobble with a ruler, a plastic ruler, not a metallic ruler. And how we do wobble is, I'll just show you the exact thing I do. Let me zoom in some more. Okay. So instead of this brush, I select, where's that darn thing? This brush. This is the, I think it's called GEN3 Fine Liner. Okay, actually double check on that one. Yeah, GEN2 Fine Liner. My face is on top of it, okay. And what I do is I turn off pressure, right? Because I don't want this to affect anything. Because if pressure will cause the line to have inconsistent thickness, and I don't want you to believe there's a problem when there isn't. So I turn off all pressure, so constant width, okay? Close that. So just to test that out. Okay, this is too darn big. So we're going to change this to 5, which is my normal testing. 5, okay. And I'm zoomed in quite a bit, so this is really too big. So you can't see this, but I'm changing this to, let's try 100%. Okay, great. And what you do is you have to turn off any smoothing. So I've turned smoothing to none. Okay. So this is my test. Line looks good. It's very responsive, as you can see, right? Super responsive. Let's clear it. I couldn't find my standard ruler. Before I continue, Nick has a message. You can combine parallax wobble coordination test by doing simple dots connecting exercise, but it should be perfect anyway. I think you're referring to something Tio does where he draws a box and just sees if he can naturally connect the endpoints of the lines together. I like that test. The reason, and I might do it, I might actually add that, Nick. The reason I don't do that is I'm trying to isolate certain features. I want to make sure I'm able to talk about them separately because they all independently can contribute to the pen experience. And that's why I haven't done that combined test yet. But I can also do that. Okay. This is not the normal this is not the normal ruler I use, but it is plastic. Okay. Now, 10 centimeters is about this distance. Okay. So, and what you want to do is do it at 45 degrees. Now, it's easy on a tablet like this. That's not 45 degrees though. So I'm going to have to angle it to what I believe is 45 degrees, which is something like this. Okay. So 10 centimeters is about like this length. Okay. And what I do is I sort of, I count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, et cetera. So I want 10 centimeters in 4 seconds. Okay. So let's just see what happens. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. Okay. Let's take a look at this line. What does everyone think? I think it's overall okay. This is no smoothing. Let's zoom in a little bit and just see if we notice anything. Oh, I gotta use my zoom. There's a very minimal amount of wobble here, okay? And just to show you what this works, I'm gonna try to do it with my own hand in a second, right? Delano 762. Can you do an IAF test of this Huion? Pick a round brush at 300 pixel size and no pressure, opacity, and trust. I actually did that. So of course I don't have earlier in the stream, Delano. I didn't measure it with a scale, but I would say I did it with a 500 pixel brush. And drawing as light as possible, it picked up very light strokes. You will notice a kind of oversensitivity to minor changes, which is natural for pen with low IAF. And in that discussion, what I recommended was people use a pressure curve with this pen and this tablet, as well as, if possible, a little bit of pressure smoothing. And then you'll get, with very light pressure, you'll get very smooth strokes. Okay. Overall, I would say this is okay. Now with my hand, you'll see a little bit of it, not much. Let's see what happens. I'm turning on basic smoothing with Krita. I'm going to do the same test. Okay. So 45 degrees, roughly speaking. A little better. Not still, not eliminated. You can probably just see a little bit of wobble there. Now remember, wobble, okay, before I continue, that was with basically 4 seconds to draw 10 centimeters. Now let's try 2 seconds. Oops, what did I do here? Okay. It's really hard to see any wobble. There's probably just a little tiny bit there. Now let's try a more normal, faster stroke. 10 centimeters in 1 second. There's no wobble present. This is very typical. This is very typical, okay? Oops, let me turn My phone is ringing. Okay. So that was with basic smoothing. Let me just do it with no smoothing, because that's the real test. That was slow stroke, medium stroke, fast stroke. Very similar. You just see the very slightest bit of wobble. And I would say that this is acceptable. I would like it to be a little bit less, to be honest. I didn't. I think the Kamvas 13 Gen 3 had very little wobble. And same with the Huion Kamvas Pro 19 had less than this. But this is fine. And you'll tend to see this when you're drawing really slow. So if you're drawing like this, let me erase this. If you're drawing like this, you'll never notice it, right? This with no smoothing whatsoever, right? You'll never know, and I'll just do it with my hand. I'll try to show you. Any movement there is my hand, right? It's only when you're drawing super slow, you might notice it, right? Even then, most of what you'll see when you're drawing super slow is your hand, okay? And if you don't want wobble, what do? Well, you can always just use a line tool, right? Or a curve tool or something, right? So totally acceptable, fine. If you're doing like I'll just find a brush here. If you're doing a brush like, let's pick this one. You'll never notice any wobble, right? You'll just never notice anything with these big brushes that are textured, because these differences in the wobble are like 1 pixel, right? Or half a pixel. You'll just never notice, okay? So totally fine for wobble, though I wish it was a little bit less. Okay. Can I use it as a pen tablet is another topic. Okay, so this is a wild one. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'll just explain. Apparently, you can press the power button, I think. It'll turn off this, and I think you have to disable, pull out the USB-C cable and plug it back in. The screen will turn off, and you could use it like an Intuos tablet, like no screen. So some people do that. I do that with the Move Ink all the time, or sometimes. It's kind of convenient at times. This tablet, I think, does support that. And then, Nick has something interesting. Let me get that Delano first, because he had something. Thanks for your help with that. Inspire 2L. Okay, yeah, I remember that. I also love the shirt. Thank you. Yes, I love these shirts. I can't wait until summertime. It would be more appropriate for me to wear them. Fair to say that no one ever uses rulers on screen. Yeah, I've never seen one actually do it. It's more of a testing thing. And then Krita has a super cool V shortcut for drawing lines with pressure without changing tools brushes. I need to learn more about Krita and these kind of shortcuts. I'm still kind of, my world is really Clip Studio Paint. I really honestly just use Krita for playing around and testing, right? Because I know what Krita is doing, right? And the brush engine works very well and very controllable. Okay, so I think I've covered the basics. Are there anything people want me to discuss about this tablet you'd like me to demonstrate or show? Because I think we've covered the pen, what it does, its pressure, tilt, things are working well, screen looks good, very happy with it. Okay, I'm looking just at the comments, see if there's any other questions people have. So if you want to me say anything, and it doesn't even get about that, we can talk about other things if you want to, but I want to make sure we got everyone's questions addressed. While I'm waiting for more comments, I can look back in the chat to see if I missed anything. I'm going to just open up Nick's there's a new comment. Happy with the active size. 16 is the same as Intuos Pro M. I tell you what, let's find out. It's a great, in fact, it's bigger, and I'm going to show that to you in a second. Give me one moment. I'm going to get a couple of tablets over, and we're going to compare live. Okay, so right back in a second. Okay, I'm back with two Intuos Pro tablets, and I have my yardstick or meter stick for the Europeans. I'm a big fan of imperial units, by the way. But let me answer it in more subjective ways. Nick's question was, am I happy with the active size? Okay. I am happy with this. Look, for a while now, I've said 16 inches is the sweet spot. This medium, I call this a medium-sized pen display. I think it's a sweet spot. I would feel comfortable working on this. I like 19-inch, which is just a couple inches bigger than this, and the 22-inch. But like, this is a great size. I think this works for people, especially if you're using it with Windows or Mac OS, because you need some of the screen real estate to deal with the UI palettes and tools and things, right? At 13, your canvas gets really small, but at 16, you've still got a reasonable sized canvas, and if you want to hit tab and expand it, you've got all the space you need. So I think it's a fantastic size. Okay. And let's just see. Josh is grafted. So the 13 has less wobble. I think it does. Yeah. How else do these two stack up against each other in your opinion? I believe this tablet is a little bit brighter. I haven't tested it, but I believe it is a bit brighter. I have the brightness turned down so it registers on the camera well. Other than that, it feels exactly the same. I mean, I would say there's no other clear difference, right? Besides, and I think the color supports may be a bit better or different. But other than, and then the other difference is this comes with the 3-in-1 cable and the full featured cable, versus the Kamvas 13 Gen 3 only comes with the 3-in-1 cable, right? Okay, so next question was about the size. We'll just take a look at it because the sizes of these tablets is interesting to compare. Let's take a look at the overhead, and let me zoom out. Okay, so you can see everything. Let me move my tour box away. And wow, my desk is a mess. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to get a little Mac Mini just so I can have a special workstation so I can demonstrate that's separate from my streaming machine instead of trying to use a laptop all the time because there's just too many wires around here. Okay, so this is the Intuos Pro. Oops, sorry. This is the Intuos Pro. And just physically, the Intuos Pro is smaller than the entire physical tablet here. In fact, if you pay close attention, this is where the actual active area is of the Intuos Pro, right? So it's just a little bit larger than my thumb to my pinky finger. So you can just see the active area of the Intuos Pro medium is this much. Okay, so clearly this is bigger. This is as big as, let's take a look at the Intuos Pro Large. Okay, now my hand is not big enough to make this comparison easy. So I'll use, in imperial units, this goes to 15 inches. And we already know the size of this tablet. It's, so the ruler is not, it's a 15 something inches. So this is the same size in terms of active area as an Intuos Pro Large, right? Okay. Josh is grafted. Yeah, listen, the Kamvas 13 Gen 3, I don't know if you're here at the very beginning of the stream, but I think I mentioned, I think it's going to be the most influential tablet of 2025 because it's got terrific drawing performance. And I think, it's the smaller, people are getting small drawing tablets, 13 inches in size. I think people are going to get that in record numbers. So I think you should be very confident in it. Having said that, Huion and XP Pen are still trailing Wacom in reliability. If you're going to get any tablet from anybody, including Wacom, I always suggest getting it from a retailer or a store that makes returns and refunds easy. Because statistically speaking, some percentage of tablets are defective. And rather than spending hours trying to fight and debug the issue, just return it. And so get it from a place that makes returns easy if possible. Abigail S., do you have a recommendation for a USB-C to USB-C cable? The one I got from Huion is kind of short, and I think I need a longer one. Abigail, can you just remind me which tablet you have? Because that affects the recommendation, okay? And then I'll tell you. I do have exact recommendations for that. Mark Anthony, yes, get the Mac Mini. I think you were the one that had the Mac Mini set up that we saw on the Discord, right? Yeah, I want to set up a Mac Mini just for testing. I have a Mac Studio underneath my desk, which is my streaming machine, but I try to keep these separate. And I think having another Mac Mini here would make it so much easier for me to make everything work smoothly. Because right now, you can probably tell, I'm like reaching for things, keyboards here, and my desk is a mess. And so I think that would simplify quite a few things. Okay, Abigail has replied. Gen 3, 13. Okay, so it's a 13-inch Gen 3. Okay, so it has two ports. One on top is recessed, one on the bottom is not recessed. So, and I think your comment was the one you got from Huion is kind of short. Okay, and I think I need a longer one. So what I use is, and I'll show it to you on the screen if you just give me a moment, just so there's no ambiguity. I'll just let's see if I can find it. Yeah, okay. So let me show you what I actually use. Screen left. Okay, this is what I use. It's a Cable Matters Thunderbolt 3 cable. I'm not saying it's cheap. Okay, Thunderbolt cables are expensive. But it's a Thunderbolt 3 cable that's 6.6 feet. Okay, so I guess that's 2 meters in European units and 100 watts charging. And so that goes into the lower USB-C port of the Kamvas 13 Gen 3. And then I connect that to a Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, or USB 4 port on my computer. And again, I don't know if we've discussed this, just make sure that the USB-C port on your computer supports data and enough power and display port alt mode, and then you're good, right? Hope that answered your question clearly. California Inking, I agree with your advice about returns 100%. I even had an older Huion tablet that was out of warranty, but Huion sent a replacement free of charge. That's nice. That's nice. I know sometimes people have difficult with any support team, customer support team. Sometimes, it can be sometimes an awkward conversation about they want you to just buy a new tablet, especially if it's old, or, they sometimes won't refund, but I'm not sure why those situations come up. But I have seen Huion actually many times actually replace the unit or the pen or whatever. So that's really good to hear. That's really good to hear that they give you a replacement. Okay. And then who else has questions? So I think I'm done with the overall evaluation of this thing. Let me stop that. Let's see. Abigail says, yeah, my port works fine. Just need more length. Yeah, that's the cable I use. And sometimes I also use the Cable Matters 4.0 cable. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I just want to show you one more thing, just so it's totally clear. Let me go to screen left. I'm going to show you exactly the Amazon link I use. So this is what it says. Cable matters, Intel certified, 20 gigs per second, Thunderbolt 3 cable, 6.6, right? And so this has been working extremely well for me. Just be, you want to make sure you're using the USB-C port that's not recessed, but then it works just fantastic. And then Josh is grafted says, yeah, I ordered straight from Huion too. They had the best prices as well. Amazon was way more. Oh, interesting. I'll have to pay more attention to Amazon versus Huion prices. I hadn't noticed that. But I could believe it. Okay. Any more questions or things you'd like me to try with the tablet? Okay. I think I'm not seeing any comments right now. So I think we're going to end the live stream in a minute. But let me just say this. Number one, I'm pretty happy with this tablet. Okay. I am very happy with it. The only minor issue was that extra little bit of line wobble on slow strokes, but I think it's one of those problems you have to go looking for. I did see a little bit of pressure, oversensitivity at low pressure, but again, pressure curves and a little bit of pressure smoothing will just eliminate all that, and it's a very typical thing you see in sensitive. It's a problem of sensitive pens. When they get sensitive, you see that, right? California inking, you have a random question. Let's answer it. Happy to answer random questions. Let's see what Nick says while we're waiting for California inking. I'm using Ugreen cables. Oh, I've never tried that brand. 2-meter Type-C costed $15, works fine, braided power. Oh, okay. Nick, is it possible you can share like the Amazon link or wherever you bought it from? I'd like to try that out because I feel bad always recommending these Thunderbolt cables, which are the Cable Matters one is $32, right? So having something that's 15 is better. I'd like to just test it out myself. Okay, now I'm just waiting for California inking. Do you know if the updated Huion driver has touch for Mac? I do not know that. I do not know. I haven't tried the touch feature since I installed the firmware. I think I installed the firmware. I haven't tried it in a while. The only way to find that out is probably just ask them, right? By the way, speaking of drivers, I think in my last live stream I mentioned that China has an equivalent YouTube site called Bilibili, which I love that name. But and it's a really cool site. If I spoke or could read Chinese, it'd be even more useful. But I watch tablet channels there, and on one of the channels, could have even been a Huion channel, someone showed updated Huion driver UI, which it wasn't just a fresh coat of paint over the one we have. Like, it looked really good, and it looked like there's a new on-screen menu system. So Wacom has a really advanced on-screen menu system with its driver. It looked like Huion's adding something like that. So I think they're probably working on a new driver. So maybe that is when we'll see the touch support. I haven't changed anything since installing the beta because I don't want to break anything. Hey, I understand that. And if things are working, don't change things, right? And it goes for everything. If people are happy with the tablet they have, don't buy a new one, right? Because any change puts you at risk of being disappointed, right? Or breaking something. And the entire house of cards falls down. Okay. I'll give it one more minute as I wind down the stream. Okay. Anyway, just wrapping down, just counting down the things I saw with this. Overall, I like this tablet. I'm going to be using it now. Because it is a bit lighter than the Huion Kamvas Pro 19, I'm going to spend this weekend drawing on it. Okay. But I can tell right now, like, I'm pretty happy with the way it works. And I think this is going to be a solid choice for anyone who's getting a 16-inch pen display, which is my recommended size for a pen display because it gives you enough room for gestures and enough space for the UI. Oh, it doesn't post the link here. I'm sorry about that. I'll see if I can correct that in the settings. I'm still new to YouTube streaming, but thank you. Maybe you could just email to me at the7pens@gmail.com. That would also work, Nick. And California Inking, thank you so much for your comment. I appreciate it. Okay, I think that's it. And I want to thank all of you for your patience and your time and your comments. And wow, I never imagined I would be doing a live unboxing and sort of mini, test of a tablet. But this was fun. And I hope everyone got something out of it. At least I hope you were entertained. And if you like this, I will do more of it, right? Because I still have to. People are asking me questions about the Wacom Moving 13, and some other tablets are going to be coming out soon. And I'm hoping this year we're going to see lots of new pen tablets. I'm expecting new Intuos Pro models from Wacom. And I'm hoping PenTech 4.0 comes out to Huion pen tablets as well. So I'm more than happy to try this with more tablets. And I think 2025 is going to be a fantastic year. We're going to have many amazing tablets for all of us at good price ranges as well. With that, I want to say thank you. Your support means everything to me. And I'll be seeing you soon on the live stream and creating videos. Okay? Thanks, everyone, for your time. I do appreciate it. And I hope you have and are having, the beginning of a fantastic 2025. Okay? So I'll just hang on, and I'm going to turn on the goodbye music. And if there's any more questions, I'll still be online for a bit, and I'll answer if I can. Okay? So I'm doing the stream over now.